there, I'm Rex King. Welcome back to another episode of From the Archive. Today we're talking about Key Largo. Key Largo was directed by John Huston and is based off a 1939 play of the same name, though there are a couple differences between the play and the movie that are quite evident when you look into them. Huston and Brooks, the screenwriter on the movie, changed the setting to be after World War II by the looks of things. When the original play, the story takes place during the Spanish Civil War, and our main character is a deserter. While in the movie, the main character is a disillusioned GI who has returned from the war. This is probably due to the fact that Huston really wanted to drive the point home about returning soldiers being struggling to adjust to society. Another thing that's different from the play to the movie is the ending, where in the ending of the play, it's much more tragic with our main character dying at the end of the confrontation, where in this one, our main character emerges victorious. The film was released in July 1948, and it did really well at the box office, making $4.4 million on a budget of $1.8 million. And critics were generally favorable to the film. They especially loved the performance of Claire Trevor, who played Gay Dawn in the film. And they thought she was like the best performance in the film by far, and ended up getting her a Oscar win for Best Supporting Actress for the film in 1948. What do I think? Well, let's talk about it. Key Largo focuses on Frank McCloud, a GI who has returned from war and is going to visit the family of a soldier who died while serving with him. The family consists of Mr. Temple, played by Lionel Barrymore, who's the dead soldier's father, and Nora Temple, the dead soldier's wife, and she's played by Lauren Bacall. However, once McCloud gets to the hotel, Key Largo, that the family owns, he ends up finding that it's being run by this group of gangsters led by Johnny Rocco, played by Everett G. Robinson, who basically takes McCloud and the family hostage to have a nefarious deal happen in the hotel. This forces McCloud to use every bit of wit to keep everyone alive through this ordeal. To further complicate things, there is a hurricane outside. This story is really well done for the most part. It isn't what we would expect from a modern day film. A film like this, if it was made today, would make it a big action packed mess, to be honest. But this one focuses on more character wit and character dynamics, as McCloud just uses his wit to make sure that he's keeping Rocco in check, to make sure that he doesn't kill any of the Temple family, and making sure that they are safe, while also kind of struggling with Rocco for control of the situation. And the tension between Rocco and McCloud is really well done, and you can just feel it in the air. And I really like the subtlety of what McCloud is going through as a GI who's returned from war and has definitely struggled to readjust to modern society life. However, I do wish we got more of that in the film, and I feel like it is severely lacking in comparison to some of the moments where he's just struggling with Rocco for control of the situation. And I don't feel like that point was driven home as well as it could. Also, the ending, I'm not a big fan of this ending. I don't think the final shootout between McCloud and the gangsters on the boat is all that interesting or all that well composed. It's pretty simple, and McCloud wins pretty easily, if you ask me. And I really feel like they should have gone the more tragic route, like in the original play, because I feel like that would have driven the point home that Huston was trying to make. Um, but overall, I still think the story is paced well, and I do think there's enough here to justify the runtime. The characters aren't really that interesting or well developed. Rocco's your standard gangster. Nora doesn't really get to do a whole lot in the film. Mr. Temple has a lot of cool moments where he's just like shouting at Rocco and driving him kind of nuts a little bit and like standing up to him. Uh McLeod's again interesting a little bit, but we don't get as much development as we could with the character. I think the most interesting character is Gay Dawn, who is Rocco's girlfriend, also a former like very good singer, but she's kind of a drunk now. I really like all the subtle hints we get with this character and her tragic nature and parts of her backstory. You get the feeling that she was just this young starlet who Rocco kind of picked up and dragged into his world, and now she's just kind of broken and really needs something to push her along. And that's driven home by Claire Trevor's performance. She's brilliant as Gay Dawn and portrays her really well, especially in the scene where she has to sing a cappella to get a drink. And fun fact, Claire Trevor did not know she was going to be singing a cappella when she agreed to do this, which probably made that scene even more heartbreaking. I really enjoy that scene because I think her performance just comes through and is just raw and believable. But all the performers do a good job. Bogart is Bogart in this film, and him and Lauren Bacall have such wonderful chemistry. I know, shock of all shock. Edward G. Robinson, he perfected playing a gangster, so of course he's good in this film as a gangster. But honestly, the standout to me is Lionel Barrymore as Mr. Temple. He, at this point in history, was struggling severely with his arthritis. In fact, he did this entire film wheelchair bound because of his arthritis. And oh my god, you cannot tell. His performance is brilliant. And his like interactions with Rocco and McLeod and everyone, he is easily the standout in this film for me. The visuals, there's not a whole lot to talk about here. This is more of Huston showing off his film noir shooting and getting some wonderful dark shots. He manages to capture the chaoticness of the hurricane, even though we don't get to see much of it, partially because this entire film was done on set as opposed to on location shooting. And I really enjoy what we get to see in this film. Again, there's not a ton because a lot of this was just a set, and there's only like a couple scenes where they were able to shoot in the Florida Keys. But I think they managed to do a lot with very little. The music score, unfortunately, isn't a ton to talk about. The music score was done by Max Steiner. It's just, there's not a lot here. It's a bunch of nothing. And to be fair, though, I don't mind that in a movie like this because it allows the performances to shine through. And I really feel like that the performances elevate this film to a whole nother level. So I really don't mind that the score really doesn't do anything. And I don't feel like it needed to do a whole lot. So at the end of the day, I really enjoyed Key Largo for what it was. It's a simple film with characters in one location interacting with one another, and the interactions are really well done. The performances are brilliant, and the story is paced well enough that you are gripped for most of the film. I do feel like the ending needs some work, and the characters were not as developed as they could have been. So, is this film a buy, a stream, which you can do on HBO Max, or is it an avoid altogether? Well, this is the part of the film review where I talk about the special features. Too bad there aren't any. There are no special features on this Blu-ray, and I could not find any other editions that have anything. So, Is this film a buy? No, it's a good movie, but it's not great enough to be a buy on its own. It would need some special features to be considered a buy. So as it stands, this film is a stream. As long as it's available on HBO Max, there's really no reason to buy this one. I do feel like it's a good movie, so it is worth the watch. Anyway, that's what I thought about Key Largo. What did you think about it? If you've seen it, let me know in the comments below. If you like this video, like, comment, and subscribe. And next time, I am taking on another classic, West Side Story. I'll see you then.